actually introduced him to my plug. Oh, whoa, by the way, after I gave him the brick.
That's one of the worst things. Why do people introduce people to their
Because I didn't want to do it no more. I'm like, here, boom, here's the plug, boom. Y'all deal with each other. Plug, you know that's my man.
Is that because of love?
It was love.
Or
I
were you
trusted him.
digmatized?
No, wasn't digmatized. He had a little dick. Connect. Oh, you need kilos? Okay, hold on. I got you.
Melanie's story is one of betrayal, one of family, one of drugs, one that is going to take us on a journey. You definitely don't want to miss this. Have a seat, relax, and let's pay attention. We're going to go into a story about boyfriends and families and grandmothers, because you were very close to your grandmother. We're going to go into a story about her boyfriend betraying her after she gave him a key and 30 grand cash.
28.
You had to go away for a little bit. So YouTube, 8 at the table. Let's get ready for this with Melanie Feliciano. Thank you for coming to 8 at the table. Let's start with that.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And I read your story, and your story is like, it's a journey. You got into, you were kind of born into this hustler life because your grandfather was a hustler. Most of your family was hustling, but you stayed away from it until you turned 16. So tell us a little bit about how everything got started.
I mean, I stayed away from it until I needed it. I ended up needing to find ways out of the predicaments I was in. I needed money. So I ended up in the streets. But yes, my grandfather sold drugs, my uncles sold drugs, my mother, my aunt sold drugs. Unfortunately, they were heroin addicts and crack addicts and coke addicts, and they were perfect examples. Like, I just had my son on my show recently, and he said, you know, when you come from that of having parents that are addicted to drugs, they become either perfect. There's two ways it can go. They're going to either be a perfect example of what you should not be, or unfortunately, not everyone is strong enough to break the cycle of addiction, and they do repeat the pattern. But I was able to break the cycle of addiction.
Because you saw addiction as a weakness, and you thought people who didn't have control over their substance use were weak.
Right.
You always felt that. You think that was a way of psyching your mind out in order to tell yourself to never play with that because you refuse to be weak?
Right. And I mean, it's not rocket science to me. I'm not going to try a substance that I see the world falling head over heels addicted on, because I'm afraid. What if I like it too and I end up wanting it and I end up being, you see the end result of a fiend's life, you know? God bless everybody in that battles with addiction. I'm not trying to knock them, but they have gone to rock bottoms of selling their bodies, selling their children, selling property. I'm like, I don't want to have any substance in my body that can possibly make me do crazy things that I would not do on a sober mind.
You're from Puerto Rico. Your family's from Puerto Rico.
Right. I'm Puerto Rican, mother and father, grandparents, Puerto Rican, yeah. I am from Sunset Park, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Okay.
And that's where I was born and raised. My grandmother did come from Puerto Rico and had her children in Pennsylvania and Brooklyn. So that's where I grew up.
So, you know, 8 at the table, we talk about love, we talk about sex, and we talk about relationships. And one of the things that we usually talk about is the importance of the relationship with your mother. And, you know, from your story, you didn't really have much of a relationship with your mother.
No, my mother was, like I said, a heroin dealer, heroin addict, and I did have a relationship with her in a sense where her mother was raising me, my grandmother. Her mother was raising me, so my mother would come in and out the picture, birthdays, Christmas maybe, you know, if she wasn't in prison and if she wasn't in another state chasing her addiction. My mother recently passed away. It's been a year and a half now, but her years of addiction led to very poor health, and she deteriorated away. But Yes, I didn't have much of a healthy
So,
relationship with my mom. I seen
which
a lot of things at a young age that I should not have seen. It was very toxic. Yeah, having an addicted mother, but I loved her, so it's very
yes, it's
hard.
hard to.
That's your mother, no matter what. I never turned my back on her. I always respected her, and I took her in and out of rehabs. In the
Do you know
end,
what she was dealing with that made her like that? Do you know what happened to
she
her?
had mental health issues.
But back then, nobody thought that was a thing, right?
That wasn't a thing, but that's what it was with her. She had severe mental health issues, and she just caused herself more and more.
She was trying to
Yeah,
medicate
yeah,
and
she was,
finding a way
all
to.
these drugs, they affect the brain, drugs affect your brain. Drugs affect your brain. You can't do drugs and not think that it's not going to mess you up. And that's another reason I never did, any
Did
kind of serious drugs because I was scared of how it could affect me. Everybody's different. But, yeah, that deteriorated her life. I took her in at the end. I ended up closing her eyes with my hands. I was there when her heartbeat stopped. I will tell everyone that has struggles with addiction or has loved ones that struggle with addiction not to give up on them and don't hate them or be mad for the things that they do because it's not them. It's really the drugs.
and is that powerful?
Yeah.
Even powerful. I think
The
you
drugs mixed with their mental health, right?
you mentioned like your mother and your grandmother, her mother, they didn't really get along.
No, they were opposite. My grandmother was a saint, an angel. She was a foster care parent. Her husband was a correction officer.
Okay.
That was my step grandfather who raised me,
Even
and yeah.
even to the point where your mother set your grandmother up,
Oh
and
yeah, there's been many times that my mom set her up through her schemes, through her days of addiction. One time they walked into the house. I was probably like 6, 5 years old, and they blindfolded us. They followed us in with the gun, tied her, my grandmother up, went up, got her jewelry because they owned the house. We had a house, and we had
oh,
tenants. Um, so yeah, they did that. She set up her mom a lot of times. So it was hard for her when her mother died. She felt a lot of guilt. I don't have
it
any
had to
guilt.
have,
I don't have any guilt.
yeah,
I
that.
did above and beyond what a child should do for their parent, who's addicted. So yeah.
And you were basically more going your grandmother's route, being a
Right.
good girl, trying to live a decent life and not
Right.
get yourself in any mess. And then your grandmother dies when you're 16.
Right. My grandmother died when I was 16. Her husband, the correction officer, my step grandfather, sold the house, didn't give us nothing. I was left to live with my aunt, who was also a heroin addict. And she
Okay.
was more like a sister to me because she was the youngest of my grandmother's kids and she still lived at
Around the
home
same
too.
age.
So we were, not to the same age, but we weren't, we were very close because she was a mama's girl, so she
Okay.
still and I was my grandmother's baby. So,
Okay.
we in that sense we were close. To this day we're close, but they left me to live with her, and unfortunately she also had heroin addiction, crack
Jesus
addiction, and
Christ.
so everybody's throwing their money away on these drugs.
You're like, fuck it.
I need that money. And, at some point, I won't even be proud to say, but I was supplying my mom's heroin addiction. I was supplying my grandfather's heroin addiction. I'd rather get it for them than to have them chasing it and get it with some poison cut in it. And let me keep that money in house.
Because in your story, you were always the brains in the operation, but
Right.
the men always got the credit.
Always.
Like you've never gotten, and I'm not condoning selling drugs. I'm not
Right.
saying it's right or wrong. I'm not here to judge that. But
Hmm.
what I'm saying is that in all facets of the world, sexism exists. And this is in an underground street level where you're the brains of an operation, you're putting all the connects together, you're making all the money, but you never, everybody always says it's the guys that are taking care of it, which was one of your boyfriends the first time. So tell us the
Yeah.
story about the first boyfriend, because we want to talk about love real quick.
Okay, so the first boyfriend that I had coming out of my grandmother's house, his name, one was dead and the other one got me locked up. But anyway, and then he worked for his brother's route. And won't say his brother's name. His brother's still alive. He probably hates my guts. But I worked with him and I felt like He was doing, well, we were doing all the work because I had already started working with him. So I was
Okay.
doing the shift. I was running the beeper, driving, serving the fiends or whatever. They was all high end,
Clients, yeah.
crackheads. Yeah.
And people, you know what
Fully
the funny thing?
functional. Listen,
People
don't sleep on the fully functional addicts of the world.
Yeah.
They're high end. So we had some good high end clients and
Speak on that just real quick.
Right.
People think when they think crackhead, you think Pookie,
Oh,
New
no,
Jack
no, no,
City.
no. I'm
People-
from Brooklyn, New York, Bay Ridge, baby. Sunset Park. It was not like the Bronx.
It was like
when I got
blue
to the
collar.
Bronx, I saw a whole different level of drug addict, I will say. Because over there, you will not even be able to tell in the daytime that this person is sitting there smoking their money away at night on crack.
Because they have good jobs.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So
you're running the routes.
we're running the routes, and his brother's slaving him. And I was just like at the point where I would be honest with him. So he started beating my ass because I would be like,
Were you making him feel less of a man? Like,
Maybe
were you feel like you a
did.
bitch?
No, maybe I did. You know what? Maybe I will take responsibility for
Did
my
you lose
actions.
respect for him?
I lost respect for him when I noticed his brother was sunning him, and I would be like, yo, you really letting your brother sun you, but I'm not going to let him sun me.
Really?
So I went on my own.
Okay. And he wanted to prove he's a man.
After he beat the shit out of me.
Because you were trying to, not trying, but he felt like you was taking his manhood.
Yeah.
And he needed to flex, and he thought being physical with you
Right.
was the way to do it.
Right, and always accusing and stupid insecurities. So
Oh, he thought you was cheating?
Yeah.
Were you cheating?
No, I was locked in that house 24/7 when I wasn't on the route with him.
Okay.
So
wow, that's tough.
yeah, it was bad.
So you went on your own.
So I went on my own. I escaped from him after he beat the shit out of me.
How'd you escape?
A cousin of mine was working for their route, and he helped me plot and get away. Went to stay with my uncle for a little bit. Then I ended up in the Bronx. Fast forward, ironically, because the tables always turn. 4 years later, I end up in the Bronx, and I ended up being the plug of, a large territory.
And it was
the boroughs all the way up to Vermont, you
got a main
deliveries,
connect.
and I had a very big connect.
We can't say who your plug was at that time, but what we're gonna say is that you had a plug that was in the South, like, Mexico. Your plug came from somewhere else where it gets really cold.
We supplied from all the boroughs all the way up to Vermont. And my ex-guy's brother, the one that I left, he ended up finding out about me that I had the raw fish kill, and he ended up reaching out to me while I was in the Bronx and became a client of mine.
Word.
And
How was the
his brother
transaction?
died. His brother died ironically on a motorcycle accident after I left him.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's sad.
So unfortunately, a lot of people that end up doing bad things to me, I notice vengeance is the Lord's, and a lot of people
don't work
either
out for
end up
them.
dead in jail or really doing bad in life.
What was he doing?
He was buying 4 bricks a month from me for a good steady, I would say 7 months. It was a nice flow because I was making 4 to 5 points off of each brick. So that was easy money
For
for
people
me.
who don't understand points, because everybody always think moving bricks, you're keeping all the money. It's just a spread
the way
over.
I did it was wholesale. So
Yeah.
there's different ways to sell drugs. You could be on the street pitching hand in hand, which is where I started.
Okay.
Or you can become wholesale where you don't even have to touch a kilo. You just make some calls, or maybe if you drop something off or whatever. But I
And
was
then
at
you would
that
make
point
your
where I was
spread in
wholesale.
between the
so
two.
if you bought the kilo for $24,000 US, right, dollars, and you sold it for 4 to 5,000 more on top of that, that's your profit wholesale. So
Okay.
that's what I did.
And that's a volume business.
I had an unlimited access to kilos, so that's what I would do. I would connect. Oh, you need kilos? Okay, hold on, I got you. Here.
Brokering.
Connect the dots, brokering the deal.
brokering
I was
deals.
a brokering deal. So this is why
So
I'm
you never
a
had to
hustler.
touch product
Yeah,
because you were brokering
At that
deals.
point, I didn't have to touch no more.
Because
No
people
more.
were like, oh, you need this, I broker, this
Right.
is my broker fee.
Right.
And
Send
as long
my
as you got your
fee.
broker's
Yeah.
fee, you were always
I
okay.
collect my fee
And
off
if they
top.
didn't pay you your fee, then they just lost a connect.
I didn't have nobody that did that.
Okay, because they needed that product.
They needed the product. It was good. And plus, I'm a very good businesswoman.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, the only one that wanted to fuck me over is the guy that I ended up wanting to be with. Stupid asshole. I should have stood single. I should have just stood
So
single.
all this time you leave your ex passes away. His brother is rocking with you, and now are
I
you
get with
dating?
the new guy. I get with the new guy, the one that ended up I catch the case over. I get with the
How'd
new
you
guy.
guys meet? How did you guys meet?
Well, I always had a day job. So I ran an auto mechanic shop in the Bronx because he came for a car that was at the shop. He came for the car and he had explained something about it. I think he wanted I knew how to find fake licenses. He needed a fake license.
Okay.
And so we exchanged information. I got him the fake license.
Did you like him right away when you saw
I
him?
didn't. You
You
know,
didn't?
he was not to be anything against. He just wasn't my type
Okay.
at that moment. But
That's women. Men grow on
this is
y'all.
what happens. They grow on us.
Men
And
grow,
it's like
yeah,
if-
guys. If you ever
This
think
is
that you
one
gotta
thing
be
I'ma
this
say.
thing,
Don't-
men think like they gotta be
Don't
this.
compromise. If it's not your type in the beginning, if it's something you don't want in the beginning, leave it alone. Like, don't compromise. This is what I learned. So in our
So you didn't really like
transaction
him.
with the license, and we hung out. I had a birthday or whatever, something like that. And then he was nice and cool, and I was like, oh, this guy might be all right. And then of course he lied to me and said that he wasn't in the streets. He was into construction. That's the number one lie, construction.
That's the one, right?
Not knowing I was into the game
same.
myself, but on a higher level.
So you're both kind of not
he
telling
was
each other
small,
what's going
but
on.
he was small, like ounces. He used to get like ounces and stuff and go out of
Okay.
town in Ithaca, New York, sell them for $100 a gram. If you're getting it for 28,
Okay.
you know, that's the good
Good
flip.
markup, though.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened was I did my research and I found out he was doing that. So one day when I decided, like 7 months after I was feeling him, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna tell him what I really do.
You waited. You waited. By that
I
time,
waited
were you
because
in
I was
love?
working every day in the shop. So
Were you in love
yeah.
by that time?
I would say by that time I really did.
What did
think
he
that I
do?
loved
What did
him.
he do that changed
I
him
thought I
not
loved
being your type to you liking him? Because you at that moment you got money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You're beautiful. You have money. You're doing your
I didn't
thing.
need
You didn't need
anything.
anything, right? And so what did he do? Did he like, nah, let me try to impress her. Let me try to make her like me. Let me spend more
I will
time.
say that
Because you could have friend zoned him.
I will say exactly, but I will say that he was a charmer and he made me
Yeah,
laugh.
charm.
He made me laugh.
Okay, so he made
me
you laugh. So
laugh. He was a
he made you
comedian.
laugh.
Yes.
And you love,
Make me
and that
laugh.
made you feel good.
Oh my gosh, I feel so good. I'm happy. Like, you know, I always want to be happy. And I like when someone is like a bright energy like that. And he had given me that.
He
He
had
had
that.
that charm. But it came from that old pimp mentality. You know what so it was that charm. Like, okay, so he had already been, and I would say that I was sort of naive to it because I was
Okay.
more focused on a
Business.
drug dealer. Yeah,
Yeah.
business. I was more focused on money that I didn't really think that there was a whole world of guys that really want to charm bitches out of shit.
Yeah.
Like they do.
Well, it
They're looking
happens.
for sugar mamas and everything right
All
now
day.
in 2022.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's way worse right now. I would
Yeah,
say
I think
for
it might be
females,
worse.
I feel bad.
But
I feel bad.
I
Yeah.
always say this all the time. I think men tend to be more gold diggers than women.
Yes.
And people don't believe that because women
Yes.
bear the stigma.
Right.
But a lot of times when a woman got money,
Right.
it's very rare you find a woman with money single.
Right.
Very rare.
Very
But-
rare.
so he charmed you.
So
he got your
charmed me.
attention.
He got
7
my
months.
attention.
So
7
you're not
months
easy.
in. 7 months in before I was ready to say that this guy, I wanted to be with him.
Okay.
You know? And I was like, this is what I thought. Like you said, guys think that the girls are gold diggers, right?
Yeah.
I wanted a solid relationship. I thought I wanted
Stability.
at the time. I wanted stability. I wanted to build a family. I wanted a kid. I wanted a baby, you know.
Okay.
I had a void in my life because I had been through so much
You've
in
been
my
through a lot.
childhood.
Yeah.
I just wanted my baby. I honestly didn't even care where my baby was coming from. Somebody's gonna give me a baby. I'm gonna try to be with this guy, but if it don't work out, I'm winning anyway
You
because
wanted
I
a
got my
do-over.
baby. Right.
You wanted a
I
do-over
wanted
with
to
your
start
child.
my legacy and turn you know, I already broke the cycle of addiction, so now I know I had to birth into the future. So it was like I was turning my life around because, like I said, I only sold drugs because I needed to.
But you wasn't
at the
planning on
time.
leaving the game.
Oh, I was.
You was thinking about
I
leaving the game?
actually introduced him to my plug. Oh, whoa, by the way, after I gave
That's
him
one
the
of the
brick.
worst things. Why do people introduce people to their
Because I didn't want to do it no more. I'm like,
Okay.
here, boom, here's the plug, boom. Y'all deal with each other. Plug, you know that's my man.
Is
He's
that
gonna
because of
take
love?
over. It was love.
Or
I
were you
trusted him.
digmatized?
No, wasn't digmatized. He had a little dick. I compromised. Listen, don't compromise. And if he sees this, he's probably mad. I had a little dick. It wasn't about that.
Okay.
It was about wanting a partner to help me run this empire that I had built. I had all this money. I didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
I was young. I couldn't put no money in the bank.
And you thought he was the one that
I could
he's
trust
smart
to build with me. He's gonna be a businessman.
He's gonna be a businessman. He's gonna be a good father.
Yeah,
so you imagine all this thing that
Yes.
doesn't exist
Right.
in your head.
Yes.
You made a whole world in your head.
Well, listen, he painted it that way.
So he created that world for you in your
Yeah,
head.
he acted like he wanted the same things I wanted. But he wanted it because of the money. No, but he really shitted on me. He deaded me after I gave him the brick.
So
He
how did we
disappeared. He disappeared for listen. He
So
disappeared
let's get to
like
that.
4 months,
Yeah.
right? After us going to I took him and got him tailored suits, taking him to
You was
comedy
tricking.
shows. I was tricking.
You
I
was tricking
really
heavy.
Heavy.
Is it tricking if
It
you
was
got it, but you was tricking heavy.
But I wanted to show him that I wasn't after what he had. Like, I got it. All I wanted was loyalty. And, you know, I didn't care. Like, just be honest.
Just be a good man.
Be a good man. Be honest. And let's get this money. Don't fuck up the money. As long as you don't fuck up the money,
Then we're
I was
good.
going to be happy. You know?
Did he have other girls?
He started to fuck around. At that time, it was the Nextel phones and the chirp. So he used to have like block numbers calling at certain times. He don't answer, like little signs. So
Yeah, you knew what was up.
I knew what was up. You know. So then at that point, you know, because I'm very loyal. But when I see that you're doing you, I'm gonna do me too.
Oh, so you started doing you.
At that time, I started doing me. But you know,
Okay.
I think the worst thing that I did, the biggest mistake, was while he still owed me. Because I didn't give him the kilo to keep. We made an agreement.
Okay, talk about that.
On this agreement, 1 kilo I give you, we're going to flip it. We're going to keep flipping it. Bring it to 100 grand. We split that and we go into put into businesses, you know, different companies. And,
Okay,
and
he just
together.
went ghost.
He disappeared. He
just went
disappeared
ghost.
one day for like 4 months straight.
With the money.
With the money, I had the money, but with the kilo.
He was gone
Yeah,
with it. Okay.
yeah,
Which
money.
is now that's on you.
Yeah.
You have to take care of that.
I didn't owe it. That was mine.
That
That
was
was not
yours.
consignment. That was my
Okay.
brick. Yeah, no.
And you just gave it. Oh, okay.
yeah,
So you gave it to him.
Yeah. So he didn't do the right thing. He blew it. He lied to me. Like after 4 months of me, I used to go up driving to Ithaca, New York. I was so crazy. Please don't try this at home. With
Looking for him.
With a semi-automatic Tech 9 with hollow tip
Looking for
bullets
him.
in the clip, looking for him. I wanted to kill him when he disappeared on me.
You wasn't playing.
I wasn't playing. I was calling.
Was it the money, the disrespect?
The disrespect. I didn't care about the money because
know.
I had money and I had work in other places.
yeah.
So it was
But the
not about the
disrespect.
money. It was the disrespect, and really it was the broken heart, right? Because it's like,
A woman's
damn,
scorn.
I didn't need a nigga for nothing, you know. And all of a sudden I get this motherfucker and I trust him and I give him everything and he shits on me. Why didn't I just stay fucking around with my plug for that?
Oh, you was fucking your plug.
At that time, I was.
So you was fucking your
And I
plug all this
stopped
time.
I stopped fucking my plug when I got with my man and introduced him to my man.
But your plug was married.
Yes.
He had a wife.
Yes.
And he was into orgies.
Oh, yes.
And you do orgies with him.
Yeah, we had several orgies.
So your plug
With a
was
man and a woman.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But okay. So you
But
guys
that
were
was
just
that,
doing
you know, we have fun. We were making so much money and it was just about enjoying life.
So you guys were just you and the plug doing your thing.
Yeah.
At what point do you think that he thought you were fucking the plug?
I
Or you
believe
think he never knew?
No, I believe he never knew.
And did he feel insecure?
He felt insecure, but that's why I ended up introducing to him and letting him take over. Like, I don't even need to see the plug no more. I'm done with that. All I really want is you. I'm putting myself with
I'm
you.
trying to get the science behind this, right? You want a family. You're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which is very, it's business. It's not the business, it's not a legal business, so it makes it a bad business. But you're running, you're making money, you're young, you're doing your thing. You're fucking the plug, you're doing what you have to do, you're coming up, but
me
you're
and the plug
willing.
was in a relationship. I think we fucked more for sex. Like, it was more of a sport to us.
Okay, y'all just fucking the fuck.
Because you see, the thing about me is I'm not a normal female. Like, I think I have a lot of more masculinity in my, DNA.
I hear women say that.
Yeah.
But then again,
they just like they say
a
that
man's not
some
gonna-
men are born feminine and they end up being.
But a man is not going to be running around with a
homosexual.
Tech-9 trying to shoot a woman because his heart is broken. I mean, that does happen.
What?
But
Are you
why
kidding
do you?
me?
But
You know
what,
how many men kill their women?
No.
This is domestic violence.
No,
month.
there is a thing called femicide. Food, wine, and conversation. They talk about that. Femicide is where men are killing women. So it is a real thing. Femicide does exist. Men do kill women. But what I'm saying is a man will more likely hurt a woman over jealousy, over insecurity, but less over a heartbreak. A woman, you break her heart, you don't know what she will do to you.
Yeah.
You break a woman's heart.
I'm glad I didn't find him when I was driving.
Because you
would
have killed him.
I'm saying that. I would have killed him.
Yeah, because
My
your
story could have
heart
been
is
worse.
broken.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
It took like 4 or 5 months of me tracking him down before I got sense and he contacted me. So, but when he contacted me now, at that point, vengeance was on my mind.
You wanted to kill him.
I
hurt
didn't
him.
want to kill him. Now I want my shit back.
Now it's business.
Oh, yeah, because you went and blew my brick on some bitch or something. Like, you did some dumb shit. You went on strip clubs or tricked on whatever. Like, that. I gave you that brick as an investment, not for your pocket.
Okay.
So at that
now
point,
you're looking for him.
Now he contacted me back like he had to, because at some point or another I was going to find him. Like, his brother and I always were close. So he had to come back. His father was not. We was family. You know what I mean? His father. We lived together for 2 years before he disappeared.
Yeah. So he's back now.
Yeah. So no, he calls and he tells me that a lie, that he got robbed and he didn't know how to come to me and tell me the truth or whatever. So you know me. At the time I thought I was gangsta. So I'm like, well, who robbed you? Let's go get him. Let me know who it was. Come on, let's go. That's my shit.
But
But it was a lie because he didn't want, I don't want to involve you in that and get you in that, whatever. But I said, okay. So I took him and I got our third apartment because I already have funded 2 apartments.
Let's stop.
Right.
So we can be very clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 8 at the table, right?
Right.
You about to kill this man, but you did not find him.
Right.
This man robbed you, and you mad. He comes back,
and I take him
and
back.
you take him back.
Because I said,
and this is before you guys had a kid.
Yeah.
And
when I took him back is when I came out pregnant.
So you take him back. What was that like taking
with the mindset of saying?
And who told you not to take him back in your circle?
Everybody. Nobody wanted me back with him.
How many people was like, yo, don't do this?
I don't know. It didn't matter, but they weren't paying me back my money. I wanted my brick back. So I said, I'm going to take him back and earn his trust back and find out where his stash house is so I could go rob him back.
Okay.
That was my
that was your plan.
ignorant thinking. Worst thing I did, 3 weeks after I took him back is when my apartment got raided. Hold on, I gotta think. Let's cheers to freedom. Let's cheers to freedom and to sanity. So what had happened was I got the apartment and he moves in. I got furnished everything and again for the 3rd time. And there's not supposed to be no work because remember he told me he got robbed for the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still working. I'm still going to Catherine Gibbs, and he tells me he got to go back to Ithaca for a piece of mail for the company that he registered. Because remember I told you the whole point was for us to start companies.
Correct. Yeah.
So that he registered a courier service, and he's going to get the paperwork for that. So I was like, all right, cool. I left the house that day. I never kept drugs or paraphernalia in my apartments because I always lived in really nice
Areas.
areas.
I could imagine.
I lived at 1540 Pelham Parkway South in the Bronx, which is
Okay.
a nice doctor
Beautiful
lawyer
area.
building, you know, right before the beach and horse rides and all that. So when I left, there was nothing in the apartment. When I came back, I had lost my keys, whatever. I ended up in the police station, and they had raided my apartment. And in that apartment, they found 7 pure ounces of cocaine.
In your apartment?
In my apartment that I had took him back 3 weeks later into it, they raided my apartment. What had happened was they say that the original investigation was on him and his boy. And he didn't know that his boy was working with the police. And they,
So it wasn't
when he
him.
moved, but it was him bringing it into. You don't put that in my apartment without my permission.
Okay.
He brought it into my apartment with his friend.
And his friend made sure
A
he knew.
compressor table. Do you know what a compressor table is?
No, I'm not. I'm not familiar with that business.
For anyone that doesn't know at home, boys and girls, a compressor table compresses the cocaine, heroin, or whatever powdered substance into the brick form.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Oh, it's like
So
a
that
cut.
you can now wrap it up and sell it out, you know, wholesale.
Okay.
It's a brick. It's like
It's like a brick
mini
maker.
pillow.
It's like a brick
It's
maker.
a brick maker, yeah.
Okay.
So they found the 7 ounces, paraphernalia, the compressor table. The semi-automatic was mine, like I had told you earlier.
Yeah.
But, you know, ironically, times have changed because the war on drugs worked in my favor because if I had got that case today, I would be slammed because the new mayor came in and changed all those laws because of gun violence and everything. Now, you can't beat a gun charge.
And it's
I beat a
mandatory.
gun charge.
Yeah, one thing I know
So-
about New York, and if a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know that, New York has the toughest
Right.
gun laws.
Yeah.
Like I
But
think
it's new. It wasn't like
it's
that.
like
And
mandatory
thank God-
1 year
right.
prison no matter what if you get caught with a gun in New York.
But more.
Gun.
No,
it's
more. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's a mandatory minimum. That's what they
that
have,
you
I
have to
think,
do
in
with a
place
gun.
now. Yeah,
I heard
but
about that.
anyway, so the good thing about my case is even though the one thing that was mine, which was the gun, after I fought the case for 2 years, they dropped the gun charge, which made it a nonviolent felony now, making me eligible for programs on early release and everything.
Okay.
So I took the plea for the
This is 2 years of
drugs.
fighting the case.
2 years of fighting
Legal
the case.
fees.
Legal fees, everything.
Going back and forth, being
pregnant.
stressed.
I'm pregnant going to court.
Pregnant.
Oh, because when they raided my apartment and he had all that stuff in there that he put in there.
Where is he at this time?
Him and his boy were back in Ithaca, and his boy, he moved it to my house. He found out they were going to raid the stash house. So his boy, being the informant, told them, oh, that he moved it to his girl's house. So you took your boy with you to my house to bring this stuff into my apartment. Never thought to tell me this is in my house. And now they go and raid my house. Everything's under my name. And now I got to go to jail.
Now, at no point did he say, nah, I'm going to take the charge.
No, he never.
He never came up
He
to
never
you and be
got
like, "I'll
arrested
take the
or nothing.
charge."
Everything was in my name. Remember, he just came in the picture to that apartment. When I was on Rikers Island, right after they raided my apartment that I went on, after they took me across the street, first they took me across the street to see if I would snitch because they already knew that I introduced him to the plug.
Okay.
And
How
they
did they know
wanted
that?
the plug because his boy told them.
Okay.
Oh yeah, his girl's the one that introduced him to the plug. So they wanted me to wear a wire now on my plug, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?
You're playing
You know,
dumb.
at the end of the day, I don't respect it because why would I bring down someone else that had nothing to do with my poor choice in a man?
And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about relationship.
Yeah.
We're talking about being. I mean, I know the story is crazy, as Brick's involved, as Betrayal involved, but we're talking about a relationship, and that relationship really became a demise of your business
At that time. And not only at that time, it has affected me for the rest of my life. I'm a convicted felon.
Because you picked the wrong man.
Right, because now remember, I was successfully, not to glorify drug dealing, but I was successfully selling drugs for many years before I got with him. and
Under the radar.
under the radar because I always had a legal job. I always paid my taxes. I was like this, like
Yeah.
just normal. Nobody would ever suspect it because I didn't live that lifestyle
Glamorous
where
and
I'm
balling.
balling out of control
Yeah.
or bragging or telling people my business or what I do. So nobody really knew,
It was very calm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you go to court for a couple of years. They dropped the gun charge.
Yeah, and I got a 2 to 6 on the drugs.
That was the plea.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the plea. First, it was 3A felonies. They dropped the gun charge. I took the B felony of the criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 3rd degree because it was found in my apartment, not on me.
Okay, so it was 3rd degree, which is lucky for you.
Right.
Very lucky.
Right.
People there's degrees to this thing.
Right, I know.
So, all right. So one of the things that I also read about you in your story is that you had your child in Rikers Island.
No, I found out I was pregnant on Rikers Island.
Okay, so please go
And I found out, so when I got arrested, I found out they put you through medical, so they test you for everything.
Okay.
Strip, bend over, call, all that
Humiliating.
shit, humiliating. Yeah. So, but they found out I was pregnant. And I came home 3 weeks later, released on my own recognizance because I had letters from the church, letters from my job, letters from my school, my schedule, which showed that I'm too busy to be selling drugs.
Okay.
That this was hearsay that, I was set up. Someone had access to my apartment.
And there wasn't enough evidence, yeah.
They never had even thought anything about me. Somebody had keys to my apartment. They brought that in, I just got back with my ex-boyfriend. I don't know what's happening.
And a lot of times people know that's the story.
Yeah, so they knew that. But since his boy had told them, I did introduce him to the plug, and I was the original supplier. Now I became a point of interest. So my plug became a point of interest.
Do you think this is where sexism worked in your favor? Because they don't expect a woman to actually be the plug. They don't expect a woman to be making that kind of money.
Well, see, the arresting officer didn't expect it, but the DEA ended up.
They knew what time it was.
They knew what the story was. Yeah. So they painted me to like if I was freaking Griselda Blanco and shit. Like, and then
and they knew.
I was not a violent person. Yeah. I never had to be violent. My drug money was just so easy to make.
Brokering.
There was brokering deals that I didn't.
There was no reason to get, and
yeah.
And I think they know that. I think they, your street, the streets talk. So he's gone out of your life.
Yeah. So I found out I'm pregnant 3 weeks in. I fought the case. I fought the case for 2 years. In that, I had my pregnancy. I gave birth to my daughter. I raised her at home for 16 months before I realized, this is the lowest possible sentence I'm gonna get. I'm gonna have to take this deal, and I have to turn myself in. So at that point, I brought my daughter to Florida to live with my family. Okay. I had took her on a shopping spree for like 5 years worth of clothes. You can determine that when they're little what size they're gonna be at what age. So you could buy a hat. So I bought a hat, set her room up in Florida, and turned myself in.
And your family in Florida and a family you trust.
Yeah. The ones that raised me. Because there's one thing, junkies are junkies, but they're some of the best people in the world.
What do you mean?
So my aunt at the time was in recovery of being a heroin addict. She was not a heroin addict anymore. And she had owned property. She was a successful business person. She cleaned her life up. She was the little sister that my grandmother had at home, too, that ended up taking me after she died. So she took my daughter for me out there. And I turned myself in. I actually hyperventilated on the plane when I left my daughter in Florida with my family.
Oh, that's a big tough.
And it was very hard to turn myself in. And I understand how people go on the run every day. But for me, I chose not to go on the run because I knew I had a baby that needed me.
And you didn't want to live on the run.
They're going to give me a 2 to 6. I'm going to do this time. It's going to be maybe a year and a half, and I'll come back out to her, and then that's off my back. I don't ever have to, live illegally again. And I haven't. So I have not since then sold any drugs or committed any crimes. I've been like clean life. One and done. I was scared straight. Like, for me, I needed that prison sentence, I think, to wake me up from the life that I was living, because I was running around. Who runs around with semi-automatic Tech 9s and kilos and electronic stashes and all these things? And it's like, great. I know a lot of people are still getting that money. Shout out to everybody. I wish you the best. But for me, you
It's just
cannot
not.
pay a
Nah.
dollar for the peace that I have of not looking over my shoulder.
It was just too much.
Honest money is the best money for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Legal money is better than
And during your time, during the 18 months, did anybody visit you? Did he
the
look out
one
for
that
you?
I ended up doing that time over. Made it his business to make sure I had my little 55 pounds every month and whatever money I needed. And he paid for my daughter's daycare in Florida. So he did. And he attempted to, I could tell he was very remorseful. It's not like he's the one that said, police, go to her house, you know? So I
Okay.
could tell he was remorseful
He felt
over
bad.
what happened, but he wasn't going to take
But he wasn't
the
gonna take
weight
that L,
over
yeah.
it. You
But
know,
he-
at
he
the end of the
felt
day, that's
bad.
what I felt like. I don't care if you feel bad. Like,
You think
I'm
he
like,
shoulda took
you
it?
should have let them know you brought that into that apartment, not me.
But do you think that, I'm sure he's remorseful and I'm sure he feels bad. Do you think that when you came out, were you still in love with him? Are you still in love with him?
No, no, I can't
didn't feel
respect him
anything?
as a man. When I came out, he wanted to still be with me and try to have
you think
a
about it?
family. And I did think about it, and I told him, you know, woman to man, I can't. Like, I honestly,
couldn't.
you know, with all due respect, my pussy's not even going to get wet. I can't respect you as a man. What am I going to sit here and try to have sex with you? The dick was whack anyway. You're not a good business person. You set me up. I now have a stain on my record for life.
True.
Like, I can't be with this guy. I can't respect him. Till this day, we really don't see eye to eye.